what I do,
Do you love me or not?
no matter how hard I try,
I want Spider-Man dead.
it's the ones I love who will always be the ones who pay.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Bomb Squad Matinee. I am your host and master of ceremony, Tanner Richard Kraft, and with me I have...
Hi, I'm Joe of Joe's Pizza, famous for the movie we are talking about today.
Oh!
Dr. Anagonibus! Oh!
And today we are talking, as Joe alluded to, the greatest, in my opinion, superhero movie ever made, Spider-Man 2. And before we get right into it, I think part of what makes Spider-Man 2 special, and I think we can all agree here, is that it has an exceptionally fantastic villain. Right? We'd all agree with that, right? Dr. Octopus is an amazing villain.
Yes.
Yeah,
So...
pretty good one.
I thought for a warm-up question, we can ask a pretty fantastic question, which is, who is your favorite movie villain? Joe, we're going to start with you.
You fucker. Of course you are.
It was either
All right,
you or
so
Tim, man. Like, 50-50 shot. You can't be that surprised.
That's more than fair, but even still. Regardless, so favorite movie villain. There's probably a lot of great cinematic villains that I'm just not thinking of right off the top of my head, and I'm probably gonna lose a lot of cinephile points for my answer, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't make movies anymore. I can lose all those points all I fucking want. So, my answer to this question is going to be Magneto from the X-Men franchise. Magneto is a very, very fascinating villain, not just in the world of movies, but in the world of comics. Because he's one of those villains where it's like you 100% totally get where he is coming from. You understand his point of view, why he feels the way he feels. And in a way, you can absolutely sympathize with him. His methods, more than understandably, are not the best when compared to how the X-Men deal with all the stuff going on in their universe. Though you understand him, because when you really think about it, there's an entire group of people that want to genocide Magneto's people with giant robots. So you more than understand where he's coming from. The two actors that have played him in the past, Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender, all kind of bring their own, unique perspective to the character. McKellen gives Magneto more of a gravitas, kind of performs him a little Shakespearean for a Marvel movie, at least. And then Michael Fassbender adds the youth to an earlier version of Magneto, but also really amplifies the anger that he feels. He especially really captures the anger that Magneto as a character feels. I'm beginning to run out of things to say about Magneto. I just love that character in general as a villain. I would, in fact, even go as far as to say this. Magneto ran so that Thanos could snap. Back to you, Tanner.
Fantastic answer. Tim, what say you now?
Yeah, so this was definitely a tricky question because it's a very big question, and there's a lot of different schools of thought you can go into as to what makes a villain good or captivating. But I decided to go with a villain who I talked about on a previous episode of the podcast, and that is Black Wolf from Ralph Bakshi's Wizards. I think he's a really interesting villain just because he sort of captures that classic Disney villain irredeemably sinister quality in a way that's very fun to watch, and he has that sort of ultimate evil quality that's kind of a cliche in fantasy stuff, but they do this by making him an evil warlock who uses literal Nazi propaganda to brainwash people, which I just think is a really interesting direction for a fantasy villain. So he's just a villain that is very interesting to me, and I have a dishonorable mention to Billy Mitchell from The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. Fuck you, Billy, you punk-ass bitch. Back to you,
Billy.
Tanner.
Great answer. I wrote this question, and I struggled with it a little bit. I could have gone with the Joker, and I mean, like, multiple Jokers. Jack Nicholson's Joker, Mark Hamill's Joker, and, of course, Heath Ledger's Joker. The People's Joker. I could have gone with Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, who I think we all agree is a pretty fantastic villain. I could have said Thanos. I don't actually think that, but I feel like it's not an answer people would have been mad at. I could have said Chingun. I know I never get his name right, but No Country for Old Men villain.
Anton Chigurh?
Anton Chigurh.
Chigurh, thank you. I get his name wrong every time because I forget it consistently. I'm not a perfect person. Just Javier Bardem. I see him and I go, oh yeah, Javier Bardem. I could have picked, if you want to pick maybe a recent undervalued pick that was really popular on Twitter a month ago, Koba from Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Right? That's the second one? No, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Can you blame me?
Rise of the Dawn of the Kingdom.
War, blah, blah, blah. Underneath.
The battle beneath.
Blah, blah, blah.
Brand new
blah.
funky mode.
Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series. I could have picked the one from my favorite movie of all time, Joe Tapaki. I could have picked that asshole in the bar from Good Will Hunting. But when I think of villains in movie history, I go down the list. And when it comes down to evil people in movie villains, for me, the greatest villain in movie history is none other than John Landis. Moving on to the movie today. Moving on to today. My actual answer
You're not wrong, though.
I did almost say John Landis from Faces of Death.
I almost went with like Roman Polanski's character in Rush Hour 3, but I don't think he plays a villain in that.
Just Roman Polanski and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, there we go. But it's hard to be more evil than John Landis. Even if you remove the helicopter thing.
Yeah.
Which you can argue. I wouldn't make this argument, but I've heard arguments that it wasn't entirely his fault. He's still kind of an evil person.
Yeah. I mean, he gave us Max Landis. That's evil enough.
That exactly. We're not going to get too into John Landis' evil because my actual all-time favorite movie villain is the villain of today's movie, Spider-Man 2, Willem Dafoe's Doc Ock. I think is
you mean Alfred Molina's Doc Ock?
Did I say Willem Dafoe?
You did say Willem
Okay,
Dafoe,
well, in my
yeah.
defense, if you look at the behind the scenes, there's that one clip they have where they invited Willem Dafoe on set, and he's doing the whole, thanks to the power of Oscorp Industries thing in the whole Doc Ock
Misery.
my actual answer is that little behind the scenes clip of Willem Dafoe. No, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is my favorite movie villain of all time. I'll get into that a little bit later, but we're just going to talk about our thoughts on the movie overall, starting with you, Tim.
Yeah, so as you may know, there was a theatrical release of all of the Spider-Man movies earlier this year, so I didn't go to all of them, but I did go to the Raimi trilogy, because I thought
Joe and I went to all of them.
Fun to, yeah. Shout out to you, but I just kind of thought this might be fun to revisit the originals. Those were the Spider-Man movies from my childhood, and I never got to see the first one in the theater. And I did have a really good time with all three of them, even three. They're solid pictures, but I would agree with the assessment that 2 is definitely the best of the trilogy. I'm not sure I would say it's my favorite superhero movie ever, but it's definitely up there. It's a great Spider-Man movie, great superhero movie, and like I didn't watch the Raimi movies like a bunch of times as a kid. Like I think I watched the first one a couple times because my brother had the DVD, but I only watched 2 and 3 when they came out in the theaters and didn't revisit them until I was an adult. But there were 2 sequences that definitely like really stuck in my mind from watching 2 in the theater. And one of them is the scene where Harry sees Norm in the mirror, and you have the famous "Avenge me" line.
No!
That stuck in my head. No!
No!
Yeah, that scene stuck with me, and then the other one is what is easily the most Raimi scene of the trilogy, which is the surgery scene. That scene's just such a good fucking horror scene. It's got all the quick cuts of the Evil Dead. It's got the wind blowing in the hair of Army of Darkness. Lot of good stuff there. A lot of great, like, kind of planting the seeds of horror in your brain at a young age stuff. Love all that. And on this viewing particularly, I think what really stuck with me is that, like, I think other superhero movies have kind of, tackled the idea of, how it can be a thankless job and the stress that comes with being a superhero. But I don't think any other ones that I've seen have, like, quite so specifically gone into the burnout that comes with being a superhero. And, like, it's really interesting seeing, like, how thin he gets stretched to the point where he can't even use his powers.
I'm back! I'm back!
Just because he has the weight of the world on his shoulders while he's trying to have a job and live a life and keep up with his friends and family. It's just really interesting the way they do it. Like, it really kind of puts a point on the idea that, like, sometimes superheroes need help. And Spider-Man, when he finally gets the help of his people, is able to conquer the villain. And, yeah, just a real good movie. And I'll certainly have more to talk about later. Back to you, Tanner.
Great stuff. Everything you're saying is 100% correct, especially that hospital scene. That shit, goddamn, crazy they put that in a major summer blockbuster in 2004.
Just the reaching for the chainsaw is so good, and the fucking screeching.
God, one of my sensory things is always nails. Like, if my nails accidentally scratch something it's not supposed to, it will ruin, like, my life for the next hour. And watching that scene is such a I can watch.
Yeah, that shot specifically, like, stuck with me as a kid.
That girl getting hereditaried and Hereditary, nothing. I can watch that. The nails in this movie, I gotta be like, watching through the hands. All right, Joe, take it away.
All right, I want to get one thing, since we're talking about the hospital scene, out of the way here really quick. So, when I saw this for the first time in 2004, I saw it at the now closed Warenberg outside of Osage Beach. Rest in peace, Warenberg. R.I.P. But I was at the Lake of the Ozarks the summer that this came out, and there was a trailer for a little movie called The Village that played before it, and it absolutely scared the living shit out of me. I was not prepared for that scene in Spider-Man 2 to happen, though, because I think that just kind of ruined my night. No, it didn't, because the rest of Spider-Man 2 happened, but it was very unsettling to watch, because I did not see that fucking scene coming, and it fucking sticks with you. It really does. Though, admittedly, I will say this, the entire theater, you guys were mentioning the nail scene, everyone was laughing in the theater. Because let's be honest, it is a little goofy, because she's, like, digging into the concrete, and it is very clearly wax. Admittedly, it is a little funny, but it is still terrifying.
That shit made me go, poop.
But, yeah, no, this movie is still fucking great. And I would be in that camp with Tanner to call it maybe the best comic book ever made. There are certainly contenders that could top it. I don't think they will. And there might be some in the future that could potentially top it. I don't think they ever will. it's not my favorite comic book movie ever, but when I think just like general like mass appeal, consider everyone, and just like everything that this movie does correctly, it is the best comic book movie ever made. And where do I fucking start with Spider-Man 2? Tim had mentioned that this movie really portrays just the kind of burnout that being a superhero takes on a person. Because that's totally a fucking real thing in real life. I mean, you could apply that to like several different things. You could apply that to, honestly, for me, I apply it to filmmaking. This movie helped me get through fucking college. I'll say that.
Listen. My raindrops are falling on my head moment was when I got fired from my temp job and then edited Anarcho-Bidenist in a day.
My raindrops
keep falling on my head.
my raindrops were falling on my head moment was when I got my job at the Alamo. I finished Sheena's Secret, and then I said, yeah, I'm not doing this ever again.
My raindrops keep falling on my head sequence is when I got banned from every dating app, so I wasn't able to go on them and destroy my mental health anymore.
There we go.
But yeah, very relatable in its themes. Acting wise, everyone is giving 110%, even James Franco, who is still not the best in any of these movies, but here he really sticks out and actually gives a really good performance because, oh hey, the material he's given is actually a lot better for Harry. Yes,
James Franco might give the best rich boy bitch slap in cinema history in this movie.
100%. Yeah, but very relatable, very heavy on the drama, but also Sam Raimi, that man, one, he really loves his Universal monsters because Doc Ock is 100% an homage to the Universal monsters. In fact, I would even go as far as to say Doc Ock is a Universal monster. Because, like, similar to Frankenstein, similar to the Invisible Man, like, science gone wrong, turns into something horrible, but ultimately, deep down, you know he's not a bad guy.
I think there's a very essential part of being a universal monster that Doc Ock might be missing, but I'm gonna let you cook.
It's a Sony picture. That's the essential part.
Missing just a little bit. I don't think we're seeing the Doc Ock Dark Universe movie anytime soon.
That would be very funny, though.
I mean, just seeing the Dark Universe logo in front of a movie again would be hilarious.
Hell, it's even like a little bit of Raimi like tipping his hat to his previous work, because heck, you could even compare him to Darkman a lot. Because Darkman he's not even really a hero. He is very much an anti-hero. But yeah, it's, dramatic, has horror roots, but also this movie is very fucking funny. Sam Raimi knows people paid to see a superhero movie. They came to have fun. So he sprinkles in some of that comic book cheese because he loves all that stuff and he loves giving the people yucks. So much so that he has brought Bruce Campbell with him on every goddamn movie he's ever made. And he brings the yucks here. Probably the funniest Bruce Campbell's ever been in these movies. I would probably argue the maitre d' at the French restaurants maybe a little better, but
that is 100% the best one.
I'm French.
After all,
I am French. But yeah, no, there's a lot of funny moments in it, and they've been memed to death. Pizza Time, like, for fuck's sake, we made an entire movie centered around those goddamn memes. Go watch Maguire Man.
R.I.P. the shot of literal Pizza Time that got cut from the movie.
All right, action.
Pizza time.
Cut.
That's for the best.
It probably would have killed the pacing, but I like that shot.
Good shot. Good picture.
All right. I could probably go on for a bit, but I want to save a lot more of my thoughts in general discussion. Back to you, Tanner.
Great stuff, Joe. So this is obviously... Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, for a reason. And the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies have a lot to do with that, but more particularly, it was Spider-Man 2. It was Christmas 2004, maybe 2005, but I want to say 2004, when I was gifted from my aunt and uncle, and yes, they are proud, a DVD copy, the special 2-disc DVD copy with a bazillion bonus features on the second disc of Spider-Man 2. Very cool, very special thing for me. And I was very excited to watch it. And even as a young age, I remember watching it to death. I remember when we moved out of my childhood apartment into our first rental home, the first thing I did the first night of our new rental home was watch Spider-Man 2 in my bed when I went to sleep. This is like the quintessential movie of my childhood. There were other movies that were essential, like The Incredibles, Ratatouille, The Lion King, the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, obviously the Shrek movies, but Spider-Man 2 and the SpongeBob SquarePants movie were both my quintessential childhood movies. Spider-Man 2 more than anything. Funny that both of those movies came out the same year. 2004, great year for movies. Who knew?
Great fucking year.
Great, good picture. It's hard to say where to begin when a movie like this that means so much to you, is so much of your essence, is such a huge influence on the type of person you try to be. The performances across the board are fantastic. Tobey Maguire is just as good as he's always been. Kirsten Dunst is as good as she is in these movies. James Franco is good in this one.
Brilliant.
Which is arguably
nothing left.
Which is Spider-Man. Which is arguably more than I can say about the other two. But of course, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is the quintessential movie villain. The drama is the best it's ever been in these movies. Visually, it's the best these movies ever look. And I like the unique look of the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. But Sam Raimi wanted Bill Pope from the start. He just unfortunately had to let the Wachowskis use him for their Matrix sequels, and then he got to use Bill Pope in Spider-Man 2, and boy, does it fucking pay dividends. This movie is so gorgeous to look at. The first Spider-Man movie feels like a comic book. Here's how I put it. The first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie feels like a comic book come to life. The second Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie feels like Spider-Man has come to life. You know what I mean? Like Spider-Man is this real thing in our world. He is tangible. You can touch him. You can be saved by him. The action is I think easily the best in this movie. I don't think any of the other two movies has an action sequence that is nearly up to par with the train scene. And that's not a diss on the other two movies, for the record. It's just the train scene is maybe the best action sequence ever. I said it. It's controversial, I know. But I fucking love the train scene. I've been on this train, pun was not intended there, for 15 years now, and I'm not getting off. Audience, for the record, we're filming this on the 4th of July, and there are a bunch of fucking hooligans launching fireworks outside, and it's annoying me. If I keep looking like I just heard something, it's because I keep hearing fireworks.
Yeah, I'm getting some booms here too.
Yeah, I live right out on a busy street too, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is not the 4th of July. These two are just going absolutely insane. They forgot to take their meds.
Joe's lying. Joe's lying. It is the 4th of July.
Yeah, because my totally dry, serious tone.
see, look at the clock.
Implying.
Look at the clock, baby.
Yeah, we can see it, Tanner. Thank you.
It's such a perfect movie. Danny Elfman is operating at the peak of his powers, I think. His Green Goblin theme for the first movie is pretty good. His Doc Ock theme is goddamn incredible.
I'm gonna mention that later. I want to.
You better, because it's some good shit. This is, to me, the quintessential Spider-Man movie, the quintessential superhero movie, stretching yourself thin, and I think no other Spider-Man movie better understands the weight of the responsibility that Spider-Man holds. The weight of the responsibility I think we all hold as a mortal obligation to do the right thing. It's a heavy weight. I almost said burden, but I don't think it is a burden to do the right thing, but it is a weight on us all. And especially when you're Spider-Man, but I think even for us normal people, it is. I think there is a line in one of the credit songs that I think kind of perfectly encapsulates the movie. It's not Vindicated by Dashboard Confessional, though that is an amazing song. And boy, you can really tell how much the world changed in the 2 years between these Spider-Man movies when the first movie ends on a Chad Kroeger featuring Scott Jose song, and the second movie ends on a Dashboard Confessional song. Boy, did the world change.
We went from America, fuck yeah, to the OC soundtrack.
Exactly. Correctamundo. Especially because I believe there's a train song on the soundtrack. But the specific song I'm thinking of is actually the Yellow Card song on the soundtrack. It's my favorite Yellow Card song. It is goddamn infuriating that it's not on Spotify, but the song's called Gift and Curses. In the second pre-chorus of that song, the lead singer says this simple line that I think perfectly encapsulates this movie, perfectly encapsulates Spider-Man, and perfectly encapsulates the hero-ness of it all. This gift is my curse for now. I can't think of a better way that kind of encapsulates Peter's whole arc, that encapsulates Doc Ock's arc in a way, encapsulates the arcs of a lot of the characters in this movie. Harry's wealth and love for his father is his gift, that's his curse for now. Spidey's powers obviously is his kiss that get curse for now. MJ's love for Peter, it kind of is her gift, that's her curse for now. And obviously with Doc Ock, the arms, gift, his curse for now, etc., etc. I think a lot of this is about, like what Doc Ock says, how it's a gift for the benefit of mankind and how our gifts can be our curses, how it can be a weight on our shoulders. I'm getting a little rambly here, so I'm going to cut myself off, but I'm sure all three of us are going to have a lot more to say once we get to general discussion after a brief commercial break. Welcome back from that ad break for another ad. That's a movie palette right there behind me. That one's for the movie Punch Drunk Love. But if you go to moviepalette.com, I'm sure you can order your own of your favorite movie, or of Spider-Man 2, or of Punch Drunk Love, or of Mandy as seen above Tim's head. Any of the movie palettes on that website. Add it to your cart. But before you check out, go ahead and enter the code SQUAD15 to save 15% on your order. Let's get back to the show.
You should get a movie palette for my favorite Sam Raimi movie, For Love of the Game.
Do they have that on the site?
I don't know.
You should get one for the best Spider-Man movie, Madam Web.
The Spider. They may be teenagers now, but in the future, they have powers. Funniest ADR ever. Why do they... That movie ends at a firework factory. Speak of the goddamn devil.
Yeah, that movie is literally when are we gonna get to the fireworks factory?
Anyway, Kraven the Hunter, only in theaters this December. Let's get right into Spider-Man 2. Boys, I don't have anything to launch general discussion with. If either of you have something, please go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say, because I mentioned I wanted to bring up Doc Ock's theme in this. So I kind of briefly mention it on the first Sam Raimi episode, and I mention it in one of the Hellraiser episodes. But there's a fun little tidbit about Sam Raimi's Doc Ock theme for Spider-Man 2, and that it is partially recycled score from Hellraiser 2.
What?
Yeah, it's partially recycled music from Hellraiser 2. So here's what happened. From what I looked up, he was, I think, watching Hellraiser 2 at one point and heard a piece of score in Hellraiser that he wanted Danny Elfman to recreate. And try as hard as he did, he could not get what Sam Raimi asked for. And it led to a point where he blew up at Raimi and said, if you really want something like Christopher Young so fucking bad, go get Christopher Young.
And isn't this what ruined their relationship for like 20 years?
Not 20 years, because they did go back and work together for Oz the Great and Powerful. But yeah, this is what strained their relationship for a little bit, is because he wanted like this piece of music to sound like something from Hellraiser 2, and then he gets Christopher Young in the studio to record the score, and even he is having a hard time getting what Raimi wants. So it's kind of a miracle that it turned out the way that it did.
It's so good.
And then he just had Christopher Young for Spider-Man 3.
In which Christopher Young made arguably maybe the best piece of villain music in the entire franchise, which is the Sandman theme. I just want to throw that out there. I love the Sandman theme.
This is true, but he also did create the Black Suit theme.
No, that is also fantastic. Spider-Man 3 still has great music. Christopher Young's a great composer.
Spider-Man 3 is just pretty good in general.
Good
But
picture.
we're not talking about that one. We're talking about Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2 is fucking great. So great that the movie tie-in game is also fucking great.
Still to this day, I think holds up decently well.
Can we talk about how much of a fucking miracle that game is in an era where it's like movie tie-in games are either okay or bad?
They created a web swinging system that would be unparalleled for the next 15 years. In 2004, Eric Striffler pretty much I can't remember what episode of the Friday show he said this on. He kind of had it perfectly. If you were to like think of a logical web swinging progression system, you would think Spider-Man 2 would have the web swinging system from the first Amazing Spider-Man game, and that the first Amazing Spider-Man game would have the freeform physics-based system that Spider-Man 2 had. We had that shit in 2004. It is still, to this day, the only entirely physics-based web-swinging system. As much as I love the Insomniac web-swinging system, that is very heavily animation-based. And it works. It's fine. It's great. I love it. But Spider-Man 2 is the one where it's like, it's truly in your own hands. That game's a miracle.
Yeah, it should not be as good as it is.
I love the part where you punch out Mysterio in the fucking convenience store.
Yeah.
That big giant health bar and then just one punch. Good gag. Tim, have you played the game?
I played a little bit of the first one, but like that was just something we rented from Blockbuster. I mostly remember like the tutorial of just the voiceover going, yeah, you do this to do
the
this
voiceover.
swinging.
That was Bruce goddamn Campbell. Excuse you.
I didn't know who Bruce Campbell was when I was 8.
Okay, and excuses is what I'm hearing.
I will say this, the Spider-Man 1 tutorial mission is probably the best way to ever be introduced to Bruce Campbell, because I remember so many goddamn lines specifically from that tutorial mission.
I love the part where he's like, while you do that, I'm gonna go make myself a sandwich. And then his next voice clip, he's eating. He's like, okay, so what you're gonna
We're
do
on the
here...
side of a building.
It's so fucking funny. I'm sorry. We're getting so off track. We're talking about Spider-Man 2, the movie.
Spider-Man
We do
2.
have to hail to the kingdom.
The movie. We're talking about the movie. Tim, what were you saying?
So I just wanted to go over a brief line when they're in that train scene and the one, like the conductor, I think it was, just leans into Peter and goes, "Any more bright ideas?" Like I've met that person at every customer service job I've worked, where you're slammed and you have a line going out to the next block, and they're just like, "How are you so behind?" And it's just like, how is that fucking helpful?
I love Toby
What are you
Spidey
doing?
Man's response of, "I got a few, yeah," and then he clearly does not have a single goddamn idea.
It's
Should've been like,
better
"I got
than
a
I would
few."
have had. Like I would just been like, "Guess we die."
You should have just been like, yeah, I got a few. Grabs him, uses them as a break. It really becomes a Sam Raimi movie.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
blood
Joe.
starts shooting up at him.
It's just a horror movie. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the train scene. I think, and it's so quintessential that I think we don't even need to be talking about Spider-Man, at least in our circle. I don't know if this is universal, but if I say the train scene, we all know I'm talking about Spider-Man 2 most of the time, right?
100%.
Like, not even just me specifically saying it. Thank you, Tim. I know that. But I'm saying if someone else said the train scene, would your first instinct be to think he's talking about Spider-Man 2?
Actually, no.
Okay.
The first thing that I think of is the train pulling into the station. No, I'm not being serious.
I thought you were about to say, like, the end of Back to the Future 3 or some shit.
No, I
thought he was
reading...
just talking about the entirety of Bullet Train.
I thought they were talking. Oh, that's what you meant. The fucking first movie where they all run out of the theater.
Yeah, exactly. That movie, the first movie ever made.
But we all like, if someone random said the train scene, Joe, would you would think of the Spider-Man 2 scene first?
Oh, absolutely. It's the first thing that always comes to mind whenever I think train scenes.
And Tim, if some rando said train scene, do you think you'd also think of Spider-Man 2 first?
Like I said, I just thought it's the entirety of Bullet Train.
That's a valid answer. This scene is perfect. It has incredible action, special effects that have still aged incredibly well to this day, incredible character moments, great back and forth, and then it tops it all off with this beautiful scene at the very end of the train scene where Peter's unmasked and they all, it's very Zack Snyder, this is how you put Jesus imagery into your superhero movie without being fucking excessive. When his body's being carried and he's in a Christ-like pose. Almost like Peter is dying for the sins of New York, so to say. And then they put him on the border and like, first off, this shit could not fly today. Just 10 years later, everyone will have the smartphone out. Peter, Spider-Man unmasked? It's so beautiful how like, you know, you got that shit as like, he's just a kid, no older than my son. And then you pan over and it's clearly 30-year-old Tobey Maguire, but that's besides the point. It's about the emotions it evokes.
Yeah.
I mean, can you create a more perfect Spider-Man scene that perfectly encompasses everything about his character? I don't know if you can.
I don't think you can either. Also,
for the record, I'm shocked that you did not cry while saying he's just a kid no older than my son. I was waiting for that.
He was choking up a little bit, but he wasn't crying.
No, the thing that always makes me cry are those kids. Are those kids that are like, we won't tell nobody.
Yeah, there we go.
And then when they're all like, hey, you want to get through him? You got to get through me.
Joey Karate.
That shit. Is it one of those guys from The Sopranos?
Yeah, Joey Karate.
It's so good.
And then online personality, Chloe Dykstra's in it.
Yes. Can you think of a more perfect Spider-Man scene? Tim, what about you? Joe says he can't think of a more perfect one. Can you do better than that?
I mean, I do like you mess with one New Yorker, you mess with all of us, but it's in that same world.
Yeah.
Of the community.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
I think as far as iconic Spider-Man scenes go, it is the train scene, and it's also the upside down kiss. I don't think anything will ever top those.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the closest I think we've had. No, you know what? If we're talking about Spider-Man period and not just Peter Parker Spider-Man, I would put Leap of Faith from Spider-Verse in that same tier.
Yeah.
Also,
100%.
Also, Tanner, you want to know how essential that train scene is?
Tell me.
Sam Raimi knew how essential it was because it's the first goddamn thing that they shot.
That sounds so correct.
Yeah, they knew it was going to be the most complicated thing, so they were like, okay, let us get this out of the way, and let's have fun the rest of this fucking shoot.
I mean, that shit starts off with, like, the hardest transition ever, which is, you know, Spidey just doing his swinging, and then it zooms out of Dr. Octopus's sunglasses lens. Like, that's the coolest fucking thing ever.
It was on every goddamn trailer for Spider-Man 2, and it was so fucking cool.
Because it's that good.
Yeah.
Oh, and then oh God, I love the train scene. I fucking love the train scene.
Yeah. I guess another bit of trivia here. You want to know how quick this movie got into production?
Very quick, because it came out 2 years after the first one.
Literally after the premiere of Spider-Man 1, Sam Raimi got to work on this movie. He was like, okay, let's just get on this, because this movie's gonna do really well. Let's get a sequel going. In fact, this one's already breaking records. Let's try and do it again. Let's make some magic. We're getting the sequel.
We're getting the sequel together. We're bringing on, you know what? Let's bring on Academy Award winner Alvin Sargent to write the script.
You know, speaking of Alvin Sargent, you want to know what other script he wrote for this franchise?
He wrote 2 additional scripts after this for the franchise.
I know he wrote, what's the other one? Because I know one of them's Amazing Spider-Man.
He's also the credited screenwriter along with Sam and Ivan Raimi on Spider-Man 3.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I was going to say, I know he was on for Amazing Spider-Man.
I think the Amazing Spider-Man was like the last thing he ever wrote before he died. Yeah, I just checked his IMDb. That was his last credit, was the Amazing Spider-Man.
Right. And you know, here's the thing about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 that, I'll say this, not Amazing Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 1. It's not the best Spider-Man movie, and it's not even the best written Spider-Man movie, but that's not even Alvin Sargent's fault. That's all Sony's fault. Sorry to my new overlords that
oh yeah, those are your bosses now.
Those are my bosses. I apologize. I do love the movie and I do love my work. Please do not fire me.
This podcast is sponsored by Joseph's Job, the Alamo Draft House.
But yeah, so studio meddling really fucked with Amazing Spider-Man, but you know what the best stuff in Amazing Spider-Man is? It's all the humans, like, drama stuff. It's all the human elements to it. And I think it is at its peak, Spider-Man-wise, when written by Alvin Sargent in Spider-Man 2. Like, I think that is where it's all at its best.
That's peak Spidey right there.
And I don't think any other writer has even come close to topping it. Kurtzman and Orsi definitely got nowhere near close to him.
Phil Lord, and I think it's just Phil Lord that worked on the Spider-Verse script. I close, if you ask me.
He got close.
I thought it was Lord Miller.
I think only one of the two wrote. The first one,
produced.
Across the Spider-Verse, might have been written by both of them, but I think they both produced, but I think only one of them wrote the first one. Not the point. We keep talking about other Spider-Man things.
Well, I'll even say this. It's a little hard to, because you want to know the thing about Spider-Man 2.
It's perfect.
Everyone has pretty much... I was going to say, it's perfect. Everyone has pretty much said everything that needs to be said about it. So it's just like, at this point, kind of the Chris Farley show, you know? Where we just kind of rattle off trivia and also just be like, you know, that one scene where he did that? Wasn't that cool?
You know that one scene where Joel McHale's in this before he was, like, famous? First off, Joel McHale is fantastic in that scene. Yeah, it's actually only with a deposit of 200 or more.
He plays a great
That scene is always a jump scare.
Because it's just suddenly Joel McHale. My favorite part of that is when when she's like, I'm teaching piano lessons again. And Peter's like, you are? And then Aunt May fucks up. Aunt May's clearly supposed to have kicked Peter in that scene, but she's old and she accidentally kicks Joel McHale.
Also, just the way he says ow lives in my head.
Ow!
Just ow!
I love him like picking up the little gold doubloons. First off, it's so fucking funny that Doc Ock is robbing these comically large bags of money full of gold doubloons.
They're all gold doubloons!
That's comic book shit for you.
Here's your change.
Like, does it make a lick of sense that his arms are hiding under that trench coat? No, but it's cool.
Listen, it's Ninja Turtle logic. You put on a trench coat, you're completely disguised, unless you're Ben Grimm. That's when it's the exception.
Yeah, but okay, hot take. Michael Chiklis Ben Grimm looks his fucking coolest in the first movie when he's wearing the trench coat.
Oh yeah.
We're not talking about Spider-Man 2 again. Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina.
My personal favorite villain in a movie of all time. I don't expect you guys to agree with that. But we got to agree he's one of the best, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think what makes him like an interesting kind of counterpoint to Norm is that like Norm is lost by the end. Like he's completely gobby. Where with Otto, he's losing himself, but he tries to do the right thing in the end. So there's like a glimmer of humanity in him.
That line delivery of, listen to me now, listen to me now, is so good. Alfred Molina is a goddamn thespian. He is an actor's ass actor. And you can tell.
Was a rich man.
That's so I fucking love that clip so much. The Alvin Sargent character arc written for him is great. He's obviously a great man destined to do great things, and he gets lost in the fact that everyone around him, especially the source of his money, is like telling him, you're gonna save the world, we're all gonna be rich, this is the biggest discovery in science since the light bulb. Like, it's such a tragic character. It is very classic Universal Monsters of Doc Ock, his entire character arc, in a way that I think is really beautiful, and Alfred Molina plays it to perfection. There is this weight, this gravitas, like you were talking with the Ian McKellen Magneto thing. There is a gravitas to this performance, and I think that's what makes it really special, is just how much weight he's able to give to what is, on paper, a silly little comic book movie that he brings so much depth to, so much humanity to.
And I do think something that really adds to Otto in this movie, specifically before his like transformation into Doc Ock, is like when we like kind of get to know who he is as a scientist and as a person. Like, he is the complete idea of what Peter wants in life. Like, he wants to be a successful scientist, he wants to still be able to help people, and he still wants to marry the woman of his dreams. Kind of like what Otto was doing. It's like, successful scientist, using that gifts for the good of mankind, and he married the woman of his dreams. And then all of that just comes crashing down, and it's kind of like what Peter could have become in the wrong circumstances in a way. Like, there's a lot of good character stuff going on with Doc Ock, and specifically his relation to Peter and Spider-Man.
I do want to mention something, just because like it's funny now in hindsight, that scene where J. Jonah Jameson is trying to come up with the name, and he lands on Doctor Strange, and it's just like, hey, he ended up making a Doctor Strange movie.
He did.
How have we not talked about Jameson in this movie yet?
So that was actually going to be my next question. Is this movie peak J. Jonah Jameson?
Absolutely. There is nothing more quintessential J. Jonah Jameson than I drove Spider-Man away. You know, I couldn't see it, but he was a thief. I want him strung up by his webs. I want Spider-Man. And even though this is technically not in the theatrical cut, this is not in the version I grew up loving, there is the greatest fucking scene ever in the 2.1 version of this movie, where he wears the Spider-Man outfit. And the reason they cut it is so funny. Sam Raimi thought it wasn't funny because J. Jonah Jameson fit into the costume incredibly well. Like, he didn't look like a schlub. And because of that, he was like, well, now it's not funny. He doesn't look like a loser. And I'm like, Joe, J.K. Simmons is fucking jacked. What were you expecting?
Yeah. I guess while we're on the subject of him, what is his best line in this movie? And you cannot say his laugh, because let's be honest, the best thing he does in this movie is that laugh.
I'm a big fan of call such and such the caterer, tell her not to open the caviar.
I love Miss Bryant, get me a violin.
That's a good one.
I think mine is all right, run a picture of a rancid chicken. Here's the headline. Food poisoning scare sweeps city.
Some food got poisoned. I'm a little nauseous. Yeah. I'm a little nauseous. Yeah, it's great. Every scene of J. Jonah Jameson is peak Jonah. You're fired. Jonah, you're fucking, actually, Parker, you're unfired. I need you. Basically, the best line is every time he opens his mouth.
Yeah, pretty much.
And also his laugh. I know you said we can't pick it, but
yeah, no, that's the thing, is his laugh is the best thing in this movie.
Even if it's not the laugh, the right afterwards is what are you, serious?
Pay you for what? Standing there? 8 p.m. The planetarium. There's the door.
I think an underrated bit of humor in this movie is Spidey's one quip per movie in this franchise, which is when he webs one of the bags of money and swings it back at Doc Ock, goes, "Here's your change." That's an underrated bit of humor. But to me, the thing that consistently makes me laugh my ass off is the scene where he's doing his laundry and he realized he mixed his costume with his socks and underwear. That's fucking funny. It's a hilarious visual gag.
Yeah.
I also just love the idea that he's just taken his Spider-Man costume to the laundromat. That's a good bit.
I mean, have you seen his apartment? There's no in unit. And by the way, like,
I mean, I know, but still, it's such a funny idea.
It's so funny that, like, so we've had two apartments, Peter solo apartments in the Spider-Man movies. We have the one in these movies, and then we have the one he gets at the end of No Way Home. And it's kind of hilarious how fucking nice the dump at the end of No Way Home is compared to this absolute shitbox he lives. It wasn't until watching it in theaters that I finally realized, oh shit, that's a communal bathroom with a shower out there. Oh my God. What a shithole.
Yeah, Holland has it lucky. But speaking of Peter's apartment, let's talk about the other greatest character in this movie.
Mr. Dinkovich.
Mr. Ditkovich.
Rent? The promises were crackers. My daughter would be fat. What the? Whoa, man, that's crazy. That's an insane thing to say. What does that even mean? I mean, obviously, I know what that means, but like, that's like you hear another human being say that. You process it for a minute, you act like it's a normal sentence, and then once it sinks in, you go, "What the fuck did you just say?" It's
also,
great.
On kind of the subject of Mr. Ditkovich, I still think, other than maybe the train scene, maybe the best scene of just like pure humanity in this movie is the chocolate cake scene.
I love that.
I think that one scene is like, it's so real, it's so human. Like, Peter is just getting crapped on constantly this whole goddamn movie, and everyone's turning against him. And then just at like peak everything is shitty. Just one person says, "Hey, you want some cake?" And then just for the first time in this movie, he doesn't feel alone.
Yeah.
It is maybe the best bit of humanity in this movie, other than maybe the two scenes that I think of with Aunt May, which are him finally confessing about what happened the night Uncle Ben died.
Aunt May's reaction in that scene is perfect, by the way.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I think when they did the theatrical re-release, that was like one of the scenes that came up on Twitter as like, this is such a scene you would never see in a comic book movie today. Like, it's so
human. Good. Like the anger, like, that's not something, even Aunt May, the most forgiving and loving person in the world, that's not something you can forgive on the spot. You need time to sit with that, and it's so perfect how they play it. Sorry, Joe, continue.
No, you're good. Her fucking pulling her hand away is what gets me every time during that scene.
Devastating. You could.
And then
I had the Vine boom sound effect to that, and it would be fitting.
I was gonna keep being serious about it, and like the deafening fucking silence where you could like hear a fucking pin drop. I am so goddamn happy everyone treated that scene with the like weight and seriousness that scene deserves, because man, oh man, if somebody talked, I would have been pissed.
Watching that in the theater, you could hear the pin drop. It was great. All three of us were in the same theater for that.
Yeah.
Tanner, pull up the cards.
One thing that I do want to mention is something towards the end. So this is technically, in a way, if we're not counting any TV movie from the 80s or whatever, this is... Oh, there it is.
There's the card.
My father's on this with his quintessential 5 out of 7 perfect rating.
Let's go.
That's what my dad does. Love you, Pops.
We'll love you, Mr. Kraft. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Towards the end of this movie, we kind of technically sort of get our first Marvel characters crossing over into each other's movies. Do we remember who shows up in the background in his, like, in kind of costume-ish? It's Frank fucking Castle. It's Thomas Jane.
Oh, yeah. Wait,
Yeah,
is that actually Thomas Jane in that shot?
that is Thomas Jane, and I think they've retroactively said, yeah, that's him as the Punisher, to just kind of build up like online hype. But the Punisher did come out earlier that same year. And yeah, that is actually Thomas Jane in the shot of Mary Jane running through Central Park. It's kind of a tilted angle.
Such a beautiful shot.
It's such a good shot.
How, like, it's one of those times where overexposing a shot is a good thing. Like, the almost like halo angel ring around her in that shot is beautiful.
It's crazy how Spider-Man's photographer ended up with the photographer of the motherfucking Antifa massacre. Am I right?
Civil War. Not a fun time,
right.
but a good time. I feel like we've only scratched the surface and we've been talking for an hour. It's fucking Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi, who is apparently the unofficial favorite director of this channel, by the way. I think this is the, let's see, all 3 Evil Deads, Spider-Man 1, Doctor Strange. This one is the 6th time we've discussed a Sam Raimi movie on this channel.
Yep.
I guess we all like him, huh?
It's probably not going to be the
good.
last. I was going to say, that man's made a lot of good movies.
Yeah. That's the thing about Raimi is that, like, he has horror roots, but he has range, too. Like,
yeah,
we could talk about For Love of the Game if we really wanted.
That's a good movie.
It is a pretty good
I
movie.
like that movie. Is it the worst Kevin Costner baseball movie? Yes, but that's only because Field of Dreams and Bull Durham is unfair competition.
Right. And let's not forget, he's friends with the Coens. And he's written for the Coens, too. So, that man's got fucking range.
One of the Coens' assistant edited the original Evil Dead.
Yep.
One of the Coens fucked my wife.
That's a flex.
That is a flex.
I'd brag about that.
I do. What do you think I'm doing? No. Toby's at his best here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's at peak meme in 3, and then he is at peak acting in 2.
Would this
like
movie... I'm sorry, go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say, like, I think with 2 and 3, like, you have both of these moments in his life where he has to throw away the costume, but, like, in this, it's him wanting to do the right thing, but he can't, and in 3, it's just him going through his emo cringelord phase.
I'm Spider-Man No More is so fucking devastating, and that to me is the quintessential shot of this movie, is the shot of the costume and the garbage can. Tim, that is the thumbnail. I'm not arguing on this.
Fair enough.
In fact, I'm going to step into Tanner's defense. We are making that the thumbnail.
100%. How can it be anything else? That is the shot of this movie. And how fucking insane is that? Is that the most iconic shot of this movie is the shot of the goddamn costume in a garbage can.
Yeah.
And ripped straight out of the comics, I should add. Like, shot for shot ripped out of the comics.
Yep. 100%.
I love that part where he's talking to the doctor and he's like, I have this dream where I'm Spider-Man. Actually, it's my friend's dream. Like, buddy, you could have maybe gotten away with not admitting you were Spider-Man with it's your dream. Once you say actually it's my friend's dream, you can even tell the doctor's like, all right, Spider-Man's my patient.
Like, the whole it's actually my friend's dream thing, like, that never works in any scenario, but
like, isn't I'm asking for a friend like the quintessential wink wink phrase of all time?
Pretty
much.
Yeah, Toby's at his best here, which leads to an interesting question. And also a bit of trivia here. Very famously, there was a bit of a pay dispute with this movie with Toby in the studio. And the studio would apparently repeatedly threaten to replace Tobey Maguire with another actor. That actor being, Joe?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Correct. Would this movie still be as good if it's Gyllenhaal?
no.
Hot take? No. And I say that as someone who thinks Jake Gyllenhaal is a better actor than Toby. I don't know if Gyllenhaal could do this type of Spider-Man.
Here's my stance on that. It would be good. It would not be Spider-Man 2, though.
No, exactly. It would be a inferior movie. It would still be good. I think Gyllenhaal maybe could have really fucking sold the action scenes really well. but like there's that how do I put this? Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't have enough loser in him to pull off the raindrops keep falling on my head sequence. I don't know how to phrase that in a way that doesn't sound like I'm calling Tobey Maguire a loser, because I'm not. Tobey Maguire has this quintessential nerd energy to him that I don't think Gyllenhaal has.
Yeah, he has like an earnest dork energy to him.
Gyllenhaal's just too cool. Makes him perfect for Mysterio, I think, which is a different type of dork, but not here.
Listen, the Bubble Boy and Donnie Darko, they have dork energy, but one, Donnie Darko is way too fucking cool to be Spider-Man. And then two, the Bubble Boy is just way too ADHD to be that much of a dork.
Like, because here's the thing. I think because Peter is cool, I think. He's also a complete dork loser, but he's also a cool dork loser. That chocolate cake scene, I think, actually showcases something else about Peter. That man, if he could lock in, could pull hose like nobody's business. I'm not wrong. Spider-Man 3 shows this when he like when Betty's like ready to fuck him in the middle of the
Jonah's desk.
In the middle of yes, Betty is ready to go. Then in there, if Peter just locked the fuck in, he could pull anybody he wanted.
He literally fucking has MJ, then later fucking Betty, and then Gwen in the same goddamn movie.
Like, that's the thing. Toby is enough of a loser that he can pull off the dork shit, but he is cool enough to pull. It's a careful balance.
It
that
is.
Andrew
Perfectly
Garfield and
That's all
Tom
they
Holland also have, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Playing Spider-Man is not easy.
No,
you
it is
have
not.
to be cool and a loser at the same time.
Exactly.
Tanner, I heard emergency vehicles on your audio, so somebody blew their fingers off.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. I mean, it happens every year, doesn't it?
Every year.
My back. That was the best No Way Home callback, I think. As obvious as it was, him just going, it's my back. I guess it's just stiff from all the swinging.
Actually, no. The best callback in No Way Home is trying to do better.
That is the best callback. The worst one is when Willem Dafoe says, I'm something of a scientist myself. Even though I laughed, I admit I laugh. It's also like, really?
Yeah, it is a very, like, oh yeah, we fucking went there and we're not even giving a shit about it moment. Admittedly, it is still very funny, and I think even Willem Dafoe is kind of in on it.
I think it's funny because he somehow recreates his delivery perfectly.
Kind of, yeah.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
I'm sorry, that's not the Spider-Man movie we're talking about. Jesus Christ. Well, Spider-Man 2's fingerprints, or dare I say web prints, can be felt across every Spider-Man movie that comes after it. I think every single Spider-Man movie in some way is chasing the high of Spider-Man 2. Not only is it the best Spider-Man movie ever made, I think it is the quintessential piece of Spider-Man media of the 21st century. There are some comic arcs from before the turn of the century that I think are probably better. If you ask me, the single most important piece of Spider-Man media ever made is the night Gwen Stacy died. But not just because of how actually well written it is for its era, how much that changed comic books forever.
Yeah.
The night Gwen Stacy died, that things were never the same in comics after that. There is before she died, and then there is after she died.
Jerry Conway, really fucking good writer.
And now Gwen Stacy's in 616 again. Do you know that? They put Spider-Gwen in the main universe. How many fucking spider people are swinging around New York?
Yeah, see, this is why I just stopped reading Spider-Man comics.
The new Ultimate Spider-Man run, though, is actually... the new Ultimate Spider-Man run is good.
I actually have heard the new Ultimate Spider-Man's good. I still need to read it.
It's very good. The entire premise is, what if Peter got bit when he was already married with children?
Yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's already married to MJ. Yeah. He's like in his late 30s, early 40s. Uncle Ben's still around too. What they're doing with the new Ultimate Universe is fantastic. It's way better than the old Ultimate Universe, where, funny enough, the only piece of Spider-Man media of the 21st century I think can compete with Spider-Man 2 is the original run of Ultimate Spider-Man.
I still think that might be my favorite run of Spider-Man, but that's just a personal
It's
opinion.
up there for me. There are some 80s stuff for Spider-Man I really love. I mean, like, it doesn't get better than this, does it?
It doesn't. Maybe with the Spider-Verse movies, but...
If Beyond the Spider-Verse really fucking sticks the landing, but...
I think I put Spider-Verse above it, but that's just me.
I'm hard-pressed to blame you. That leap of faith sequence, when I first saw it, I remember thinking, oh my god, they did it. This is train scene level.
Yeah.
But I think it's telling I said it's train scene level. That's my barometer. That's the mark. Spider-Man 2 is the quintessential Spider-Man movie. I mean, is there really anything more we can say about this movie?
I don't think there really is.
Does anyone want to...
trivia?
Yeah, let's get some trivia.
No, it's just trivia. Real quick, as we're getting into it, and this might even just segue into trivia. Do you have anything about the original script for Spider-Man 2, and specifically Doc Ock's relationship with Mary Jane?
Isn't there a version of the script where they're fucking or something?
Yeah, there is a version of the script where Doc Ock has the hots for Mary Jane.
Yeah. Let's start.
That wouldn't have worked.
It would have been weird.
It would have been very weird.
Let's start about this. Isn't that crazy that Tobey Maguire performs a stunt where he flips over the car himself?
That is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, they had a shot where a stuntman did it, but Sam Raimi thought, Tobey looked better.
Interesting.
He works out, eats his vegetables.
That's what my mom's always saying. I just never actually believed
Who's that fucking Twitter user? I think it's Blu-ray Angel who like posted that clip and he was like, what if that was Miles Morales?
Oh my fucking god. Fuck off. He wasn't even a character then. Fuck off.
It's so funny though. You have to admit that's really funny. Like, I can't imagine watching... Blu-ray Angel and I follow each other on Twitter. I'm not disparaging him too much. He's a very nice guy.
Okay.
He just says silly shit like that sometimes and it kills me.
Okay. I think I follow him on Twitter too.
He's a nice guy.
And I wonder how much of that is actually serious. I don't know if it is or not.
He has to put on an act for his TikTok, I think. Alfred Molina lost weight for the role of Dr. Octopus, which is funny because he had just gained a bunch of weight in his role in Frida. And that's because Doc Ock wanted him to have the build of a 1950s weightlifter. And it's funny that he specifically cites that because a few months ago, I started hitting the gym. And I've told people my ideal build is I want to look like Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, so much so that my workout playlist on Spotify has that as the photo.
Let's go.
He's in good shape, man. He's a big boy, but he's a strong big boy.
You gotta have some water weight in there.
Yeah, Stan Lee is originally the guy who went, whoa, he stole that guy's pizza. But apparently the shot they filmed with him saying it was bad, so they refilmed it with Donnell Rawlings, who, correct me if I'm wrong, also went on to do stuff.
I believe he did. He looks like a famous face.
He's in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He's in a bunch of episodes of The Chappelle Show. So he had a pretty successful career, and Stan Lee was given that different cameo of him going, look out!
Yep. And let's be honest, I love Stan Lee. They made the right call. Because the way he delivers, he stole that guy's pizzas.
It's so good.
It's iconic.
I love it when he's like, whoa, and you think, wow, that's what I'd say when I see Spider-Man 2, and then he gets real mad looking. He's like, he stole that guy's pizza. It's so good. Rosemary Harris performed all the action scenes herself when she's taken hostage.
Yep.
She actually loved doing her own stunts. On the other hand, Alfred Molina actually extremely did not like doing them. He thought he was bad at them. He didn't like taking work away from real stuntmen, which is funny because apparently, at least according to Alfred Molina, the stunt team would often trick him into doing his own stunts, which I have to imagine that's a slight exaggeration because that sounds crazy dangerous, but Willem Dafoe was not supposed to be in this movie. But one night when he was walking back to his apartment, he saw the cast and crew filming. So he stopped by to say hello to everybody, and Sam Raimi and I guess one of the producers were like, let's give you a cameo.
I thought you were going to say he wasn't supposed to be in this movie, but one night he saw the Green Goblin mask.
Yeah, can you imagine? It's just like, coward, we have a new film to conquer.
was gonna say he pulled a Tanner Richard Kraft on the set of Sheena's Secret, but I didn't give you a cameo in that.
Well, I was just walking by. You screamed at me and told me to come on down.
Oh yeah, that's right. Go watch Sheena's Secret. I actually do really like that movie. I'm proud of it.
Good picture.
The scene where Peter dumps his Spider-Man suit, that alleyway, is apparently supposed to be the same alleyway he kisses Mary Jane in.
Oh God, that just makes it even more heartbreaking.
Yeah. Peter's landlord is named Mr. Ditkovich. That is actually a tribute to Spider-Man's co-creator, Steve Ditko.
I wonder if that was Stan's idea to make him just this disgusting, mean Eastern European landlord. It's like, yeah, I really want to get back at that Ditko guy. What an asshole. Yeah. So look up the relationship between Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and Stan Lee. It's a
whole thing.
It's a thing.
The studio really wanted Dashboard Confessional to write a song for the movie. They were hesitant to do it, but then said, actually, we'll do it if you let us see the movie in advance. The studio said, oh, fuck, you just had to ask. Go ahead. And the lead singer of Dashboard Confessional wrote the credit song Vindicated in 10 minutes, which is crazy considering how perfectly the lyrics of that song, I think, also encapsulate this movie. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm always thinking about that guitar riff in the credits and then just straight to hope dangles on a string. Like, that is so Spider-Man 2. Listen, hope dangles on a string. Great lyric.
I will say this. For Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2's re-release, we had to stay during the credits for the specific songs for those movies. We stayed for Hero. We stayed for Vindicated. Yeah, you got to stay
Signal
for those
Fire,
songs.
I think in Spider-Man 3. I think that's what it's called. It's also a great song.
Oh yeah, the Snow Patrol song. That was all right.
It's kind of crazy that Doc Ock has knives in his tentacles in this movie, considering that's not in the comics. That was Sam Raimi's idea.
You know?
It sounds like Sam Raimi.
It's a really cool idea. I'm glad he went with it.
It's so good. And, you know, speaking of the claws, they look so good.
They do.
The puppetry work is exceptional.
It's so fucking good.
Go
You'll
ahead.
believe a man can fly. You will believe that man has tentacles strapped to his spine.
Joe's Pizza, the address in the movie anyway, it's not its address in real life. Doctor Strange's address.
Oh.
There's the one they give in the movie. Yeah. It's since moved in real life. By the way, it's like down the street.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's in the same block, and I think in the same building. It is just not in the same area of that building.
As of 2023, this is the first and only Spider-Man movie to win an Oscar.
Shit.
Can anyone tell me what Oscar it won?
I know it's a visual effects Oscar.
It is the visual effects Oscar. It was also nominated for both sound categories. So here's the crazy thing. Kirsten Dunst apparently dyed her hair red for this film as opposed to wearing a wig like she did in the first film, which is crazy to me because I always assumed she dyed her hair in the first movie and then wore a wig for the sequels because I always thought her hair looked the best in the first movie.
Yeah, so I want to give my take on that because Mary Jane's hair is just iconic in the comics and it's pretty well captured in the first movie. I think for the tone that Spider-Man 2 and 3 go for, having it be a little bit more of a realistic kind of red orange-ish is the best way to go. With that said, I do miss that comic booky hair from the first movie. It's so good.
The guy who's screaming outside the fire saying there's still someone up there, and then Peter runs in to...
He's in the first movie.
He's in the first movie. He's the first guy that started throwing trash at Green Goblin.
Yep.
So,
you messed with Spidey, you messed with New York.
I like to think that it's the same character.
I actually, in my head canon, he is the same character.
I like to think that too. Yeah. Kind of funny that Dr. Connors is in this movie, considering Dr. Connors is mentioned in the first movie. Actually, Peter worked for him and he got fired. Remember that? Where he's like, I was late to doctor my shift and I got fired. And Harry's like, Peter, you were late again?
And let's not forget they mentioned Eddie's been on him for weeks. He still can't get a good photo. Eddie Brock then later appears in Spider-Man 3, and no one knows who the fuck he is.
That shot of Doc Ock sinking in the river and that super close-up, that is an entirely CGI shot.
Shit.
It still looks incredibly impressive to this day. That has to have been the most, they considered it the most detailed rendition of a human face at the time. What were you about to say, Joe?
I was going to say this was one of Roger Ebert's top 5 movies of 2004, if I remember correctly. I think this was his number 4. He even boldly declared that it was the best superhero movie he had ever seen.
You know what I just remembered? It's fitting that I said John Landis is...
Oh yeah, because he's in the...
He's in this fucking movie!
Yeah, he's in the hospital scene.
He's one of the doctors killed. Thank you, Sam.
Let's go.
Does anyone else have any trivia they want to throw out there?
I mean, everyone knows about Toby's back actually being broken, and then they make a nod to it in the my back scene.
It's not exactly trivia per se, but I did have the realization as I was getting ready to watch this in the theater that I think this was the first like superhero movie I saw in a theater.
That's some cool personal trivia.
Interesting. Yeah.
Speaking of cameos,
yes.
Hal Sparks, the elevator scene. Did you know that's apparently supposed to be his character, Michael, from the show Queer as Folk? Because the character in that show is obsessed with superheroes. IMDb says it's supposed to be the same character.
I don't know how much stake I put into that, but that is funny. And that is a very funny scene in the movie.
Also, shout out to Scott Spiegel.
Oh yeah, Scott Spiegel!
As a kid, I was so sad when he got that pizza yanked out of his hands. All right, well...
hold on, before we move on. Not long after that, we get another cameo. It's Zooey Deschanel's sister.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
not paying for those.
It's the Bones lady.
Isn't there another big cameo in this movie, or have we pointed them all out?
There's a couple of cameos. We pointed out Joel McHale. We pointed out Scott Spiegel. We pointed out Emily Deschanel, John Landis. I know
Thomas Jane. I guess we hit all the big ones. I guess this is just a perfect opportunity to say, holy shit, Octavia Spencer's in the first one. How fucking crazy is that?
That is pretty fucking crazy.
Let's move on to final thoughts. Joe, go ahead.
What can I say about Spider-Man 2 that's not already been said? I mean, we spent more time not talking about Spider-Man 2 than we did talking about Spider-Man 2.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, we talked about it a fair amount. And, I mean, let's be honest. This movie's fucking perfect. It's maybe the best comic book movie ever made. You're going to be very hard-pressed to actually top it. Calm down, Joker fans. Joker 2 is not going to be that good. Movie good. Movie really fucking good. Fucking see it if you haven't. And get the soundtrack. Because the soundtrack is also really fucking good.
100%.
I think it's also released on vinyl. So
just recently opened up pre-orders for a vinyl release, which I plan on picking up.
Yeah, go get it. Go get it on vinyl, and you have the soundtrack forever.
Tim, go ahead.
Avenge me!
No!
This is my favorite superhero movie ever made. It's my favorite Spider-Man movie, obviously. And it is in my top 5 favorite movies ever made. And that's all we got for this episode of Bomb Squad Matinee. Thank you also very much for watching / listening. If you're listening to this episode on Spotify, we appreciate it very much. If you're listening, how about you go ahead and mosey on over to our Patreon, throw a couple bucks our way. And if you donate to the $10 tier, you can get a little bit of this. Jason Secord, thank you oh so very much for being on the $10 tier. You're an excellent writer. Your constant comments on these videos are always appreciated. You're one of our most loyal supporters, and we thank you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you also very much for watching. We really appreciate it. Comment below and let me know what's your favorite movie villain. What is your favorite Spider-Man movie? What do you think of Spider-Man 2? And finally, Joel McHale. Is he a douchebag in real life? Comment below and let me know. And while you're down there, hit the like button so you know how much you like us. Hit the subscribe button so you know how much you love us. Hit the bell icon so you know exactly when we upload new videos. Thank you again so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye!
Pizza time.
The power of the sun. the palm of my hand.
Just slid my ticket across the table and I said, "Sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl."